Jeffrey Epstein is dead. He's in a pack. He's never coming back, and that's that. And we're all happy about that. But a lot of Jeffrey Epstein's buddies are still out here walking around the earth for now. And one of those people who has a lot of questions to answer, we're still waiting for some answers on those questions, is Bill Gates. Bill, what were you doing with Jeffrey Epstein? That's your man's, right? That's your boy you be hanging with. What on earth was going on with you and Jeffrey Epstein? You was hanging out, right? You said you never went to the island, right? You all up in the emails. Well, finally, we have actually got an update. Bill Gates has apparently been forced to testify in Congress about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And we're finally getting some tidbits, some nuggets of information about what Bill Gates has apparently received in this behind closed doors pressing. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm all here for it. So let's look in to some of this testimony transcript. I'd love to have seen Bill Gates' smug little face while he was getting questioned about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But here's the latest, okay? He apparently told Congress that Epstein made veiled threats to expose his affairs. And basically, Bill Gates has been forced to do the B-Rabbit and 8 Mile move and basically name all the people that he had been having affairs with that destroyed his marriage so that he could try and get ahead of this. But listen to this, and I'll then remind you of Bill Gates' sordid connections to one Jeffrey Epstein.
We turn now to newly released testimony from Bill Gates on his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The billionaire spoke behind closed doors to lawmakers earlier this month. He says he was never aware of Epstein's crimes. Caitlin Huey-Burns is on Capitol Hill. So, Caitlin, Gates claims Epstein made veiled threats against him?
Yeah, that's right, Matt. Good morning to you. Well, in this nearly 6 hours of that closed-door testimony, Gates told Congress that Epstein seemed to threaten to use parts of Gates' own messy past against him.
Photos of Microsoft mogul Bill Gates with unidentified women appear in the Epstein files. Now, 2 weeks after Gates testified to Congress about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims.
A newly released transcript reveals Gates told lawmakers, "I should have never met with Epstein in the first place." He testified the pair met in 2011, which is 3 years after Epstein had pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution. Gates said he had been aware Epstein had a criminal conviction of a sexual nature, but never dug into the specifics, although I probably should have. The billionaire businessman turned philanthropist told Congress, "I was so focused on the possibility of raising funds for global health that I allowed that goal to override my better judgment." Still, Gates said he resisted a social relationship with Epstein, including an invite to the famed Crazy Horse Cabaret in Paris, adding, "We never did anything of an entertainment or relaxing nature." Gates' former wife, Melinda, told Gayle King in 2023 here on CBS Mornings that her ex-husband's association with Epstein was a factor in their divorce.
It was many things, but I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
So he ruined his life, he ruined his wife. Now let's just take a little rewind before I dig further into this testimony. Bill Gates' disturbing connection to Jeffrey Epstein, because it was in 2019 that apparently following Jeffrey Epstein's death that Bill Gates provided a really strange answer when he was first asked about Epstein. This is before we knew what was really going on with old Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. And a lot of people saw this clip and they said, huh? Wait a minute. Can we reboot Windows real quick? Hang on a minute. I think we might have got an error here. Did you just say what I think you said?
Bill Gates gave a really weird interview today where he was asked about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. I'll let him dig down from here.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead. So, in general, you always have to be careful.
What?
What? I'm not going to lie. I've never seen him look more like Mr. Burns in my entire life. He looks like straight up just Mr. Burns from The Simpsons in that one. The way he's dead. Well, he's dead, so you have to be careful. Excuse me? Do you? I've not heard that before. I talk about dead people all the time, all right? I'd like to, maybe I'm pretty careful, but at the same time, bro, what the flip are you talking about, sir? Mr. Bill Gates. So in October 2019, not long after Epstein died and reports begun linking him to figures like Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, his wife or his ex-wife, reportedly that's when she begun her divorce proceedings, and she divided their massive fortune for an undisclosed amount, but literally billions. Jeffrey Epstein and his creepery and his connections to Bill Gates costed this man up there looking like Mr. Burns, billions with a B. Look at this. Look at the state of this.
This morning, new questions are swirling around the state of Bill and Melinda Gates' marriage, leading up to last week's divorce announcement. The Wall Street Journal reporting Melinda began talking to divorce attorneys roughly 2 years before the filing. The paper citing people familiar with the matter and documents it reviewed. NBC has not yet independently seen or verified those documents. Last week, the multi-billionaires announced in a joint statement they were ending their 25-year marriage because we no longer believe we can grow together as a couple in this next phase of our lives. The Journal citing several people reporting that one source of concern for Melinda, a global advocate for women and girls, was Bill's dealings with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. According to documents obtained by the Journal, Melinda and her advisors held a number of calls with divorce lawyers in October 2019, the same month the New York Times first reported that Bill met with Epstein on numerous occasions, starting in 2011, after Epstein had served time for soliciting prostitution. The Times reporting one stay at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse lasted late into the night, according to more than a dozen people familiar with the relationship. In late 2019, Gates was asked about his meetings and relationship with Epstein at one of the paper's forums.
I made a mistaken judgment that I thought that those discussions would lead literally to billions of dollars going to global health. Turned out that was a bad judgment. That was a mirage. None of that money ever appeared. And
you have billions, sir. What do you mean you thought those conversations? It doesn't make sense. When shit doesn't make sense, you got to just say, no, you lied. That's just my opinion, all right? But you got billions. You was one of the richest men in the world. You still are one of the richest men in the world. You got billions. He talking about, I thought he was going to get billions to global health. So you fucked around with Jeffrey Epstein, and then you got divorced, and you probably gave tens of billions to your ex-wife. This ain't making no sense. No sense whatsoever, sir.
And I gave him some benefit by the association. So I made a doubly wrong mistake there.
Last week, the Gates shocked the world with news of their broken marriage. In just January, Melinda spoke with Savannah about how the two were coping with household duties during the pandemic.
Both people can set the table and both people can do the microwaving and the cleaning up. And so we're trying to, again, continue to role model that in our house for our children.
Melinda filing for divorce shortly after the announcement last week, according to court documents saying their marriage was irretrievably broken. But according to their divorce filing, they've agreed to a separation contract to divide their massive $130 billion fortune. We've reached
$130 billion fortune, and he messing around with Jeffrey Epstein talking about, I thought he was going to get a couple of billion to global health. He's going to need, look, he needs to forget about global health, right? Because his personal health is going to be a problem in a minute, as we're going to learn. But anyway, in a 2022 interview, Melinda Gates would speak about meeting Jeffrey Epstein, and she said it straight up. She was creeped out by Epstein. He's a creep.
I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful. I'm
not going to lie. She ain't Jeffrey Epstein's type, all right? Jokes aside, really, no doubt. Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. He only seemed to respond to minors and creepy men just like him. He probably wasn't feeling Melinda Gates, and Melinda Gates definitely wasn't feeling him. So it is super weird, super creepy. So talking about global health, in 2026, all right, the Epstein files revealed for the first time there was apparently a draft email that claimed that Bill Gates had asked Jeffrey Epstein for antibiotics after allegedly catching an STD, and that he wanted to secretly give them to Melinda Gates, a claim that Gates has denied. But I mean, it's in the files, so what are we doing here?
So these unsent draft emails in this particular situation have caught a lot of attention. What do you know about them?
That's right. Well, Aaron, these two drafted emails are both dated July 18th, 2013, and they were saved in Jeffrey Epstein's email accounts. They appear to be draft emails from Epstein to itself. It's not actually clear who authored them, and there's no indication the messages were ever sent, no evidence they were shared with Bill Gates or anyone else. Now, in those draft emails, Epstein or whoever authored them makes graphic and explicit and unverified allegations about Gates. Within one email, Epstein claimed he helped, quote, get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls and set up illicit trysts with married women. The email also references Gates asking Epstein to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. One draft email alleges that Gates tearfully asked Epstein to delete messages referencing an STD, writing, "Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you surreptitiously give to Melinda." It also says Gates asked him to delete explicit personal details about his penis. Now, a representative for Gates strongly denied those claims, telling CNN they were, quote, absolutely absurd and absolutely false. And Gates himself was asked about this by a CNN affiliate in Australia. Take a listen to what he said here.
Apparently, Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Let me ask you this, right? If you never did something and you never committed a crime, you never did anything wrong, you don't feel like you actually did anything wrong, do you apologize and say you regret every minute of it? You don't, in my opinion, all right? If it was me and I genuinely hadn't done anything weird, he said, I apologize, I'm sorry. If you genuinely had never done anything, if I crossed paths with Jeffrey Epstein at some point in my life, right, and I had a dinner with him and I now knew I didn't do nothing and he was doing some creepy shit, I would say, F that. I didn't do nothing. I ain't apologizing for I didn't do nothing. It looks bad, but I ain't do nothing. You talking about sorry, but nothing happened. Nothing happened, but sorry. It's nonsense, okay? So the Epstein revelations apparently affected Bill Gates' longtime friend, his friendship and business relationship with the greatest investor of all time and the man who clearly he knows a little something about life because he's still alive and he was the richest man alive at a certain point in time, all right? Warren Buffett, he says, because of Epstein, he don't even chat to Bill Gates no more. Can you believe this?
Let's talk about the latest when it comes to the Epstein files, because today you've got Warren Buffett in a new interview with CNBC saying he hasn't spoken to Bill Gates since what he calls the whole thing with the Epstein documents that went down. Watch this.
I don't want to be in a position where I know things at the moment. I could get called as a witness, but I think until it gets cleared up, I just don't think it makes sense to do a lot of talking.
He said, I don't even want to know things. I don't even want to get called as a witness. I don't even want to be involved. Whatever criminal shit Bill Gates got going on with Jeffrey Epstein, I don't want to hear about that, okay? I don't know where he's sticking his floppy disk these days, all right? I'm not trying to hear about none of it. I'm not talking to him no more. Bro, you got Warren Buffett as your homeboy, the richest man in the world. And he said, I'm not rocking with Bill Gates. I don't want no criminal part of that. He low-key dry snitching on him a little bit because it's like, if nothing happened, you didn't know nothing. He talking about, I covered my ears, hear no evil, see no, I didn't want no parts of that illegal shit they had going on over there.
Now, these are Warren Buffett's first public comments about Gates since these files came out. Remember, he's the chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. He donated billions of dollars, Buffett did, to the Gates Foundation. But he says he doesn't regret any of that. Gates and Epstein became friends in 2011. 3 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution in 2008. Last month, remember we told you this, Gates told staffers at a town hall it was a huge mistake to have spent time with Epstein, according to reporting by the Wall Street Journal, and said he didn't do or see anything illicit. Let me bring in Ryan Riley, who's following this story for us.
If you didn't do or see anything, was it really it wasn't that big of a mistake, right? Like none of this is making sense. You apologizing to the nth degree, but then you say nothing. I didn't even see nothing.
Buffett is one of the richest people in the world. And he said he was shocked at how Epstein was able to win over and basically con, in his words, everybody here. And that has real consequences, right? I mean, the concern from Buffett, he really laid it out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this has had these huge repercussions across these circles, the sort of circles that Warren Buffett typically deals in. And here's a little bit more of what he had to say in the interview.
He had a way of conning everybody. Men are going to like sex, and some of them are going to like not paying taxes. And whatever it was, he figured out what their weakness was.
Bruv, this is a man that's not corruptible, in my opinion, okay? You're saying Warren Buffett, he knows how important reputation is. He's always been smart and chill as F. The fact that he isn't in the files is extremely respectable given he's in the middle of that billionaire circle. Warren Buffett has enough Midwestern sense not to get caught up in someone else's drama. How comes Buffett stayed out of it and Bill Gates couldn't, all right? When your times are so bad, even your best friends ditch you. Someone has integrity and it's not Bill Gates. Warren Buffett's no fool, all right? Buffett is too cultured and old school to even be invited by Epstein. Remember, he's of the era where ethics and morality was still highly valued in the US. All right? Listening to Buffett talk about being cautious with Bill Gates made me realize even the richest people get caught in situations that shake trust. That's what's crazy, is that it's like Bill Gates, I just thought I was going to get money from global health. I thought you're already a billionaire, sir. Warren Buffett didn't get sucked into none of this. It's very, very strange. Okay? Very strange. So following all these revelations and everything coming out from the Epstein files, which we covered on this channel extensively, I hope you remember, all right? Because Big Trapmore Ross remembers, all right? When the Epstein files first dropped, we dug deep into them files and we made sure that no stone was left unturned, all right? And we put his feet to the fire. I'm not going to lie. I ain't even going to say too much, all right? But a lot of people got in trouble for even talking about that shit. And a few... It's weird shit. Weird shit was going down. But anyway, all right. After the files dropped, that's when Bill Gates' wife, Melinda, popped out. She finally spoke on the situation and she was still calm and coy and chose her words carefully. But she actually did touch on the situation and the victims, even though she didn't confirm nor deny the claims that Slick Willie was trying to slip her some pills to cure an STD he might have given her without her knowing.
It's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. But I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. Well, and I am so happy to be away from all the muck that was there.
I have to put more words to the muck for context for our listeners. The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right?
It's shocking, all right? It is heartbreaking. You can tell how badly affected she is by this just by the way that she looks when she's being asked all this stuff. But, you know, I honestly, I wish the interviewer would have maybe just asked the question a little bit more directly because we all want to know whether or not that was true. And there was an opportunity there to just nail the landing and just go, is it true? But she didn't do it. But I would have liked to have known. But the way her reaction, her body language it indicates to me, just in my opinion, that like it's true and that she signed an NDA. Just the way her body language, that's what's being communicated with me through pure body language as an amateur body language analysis person, right? I don't know for sure, but like the way she reacted to that, the way that she was like head stone cold, not moving, like not trying to nod, not trying to accidentally claim that, yes, that is actually true. But I feel like that's probably what was going down, okay? But I don't know for sure. But that is her response. She said it made her incredibly sad. How embarrassing to be caught up in this absolutely disgusting, sordid affair. Now, before his closed-door testimony on June the 11th, 2026, Bill Gates apparently claimed that Epstein had been trying to blackmail him, and he denied the antibiotic STD email claims.
Gates, in his opening remarks, Bill Gates told lawmakers he never saw, he was never aware of Epstein's crimes, and that he himself, Gates, never victimized anyone. He gave a little bit of a background on how they got introduced back in 2011. He said that their interactions, for the most part, were pretty limited, and that all of that came to an end in December of 2014. This is something else that Gates told lawmakers. He said, "I learned Epstein had become aware of sensitive information about my personal life, including the fact that I had been unfaithful in my marriage. Epstein was working to use information about my infidelities, in addition to many lies that he layered on top, to pressure me to re-engage with him."
I think what we can say right now is that Mr. Gates does believe that Mr. Epstein would write emails that were oftentimes untrue. I think he spoke to that in some of the questioning, that he denies obviously some of those claims, and that he felt that Mr. Epstein would write emails to himself and just say things that were not true or
This has obviously been a really embarrassing ordeal for Bill Gates. I'm told by a source that his lawyer jumped in at one point and said he's not going to answer questions about affairs that are not directly related to the Epstein saga.
So he was having affairs left, right, and center, and there were affairs. Maybe there were affairs related to the Epstein saga, maybe there won't. So this was held in closed doors. Now, normally you see people getting trotted out in front of Congress, in front of the world, with a little placard with their name on it, and they have to sit up there and pretend that they're somehow, you know, not able to answer some of these questions. Now, that's not actually what ended up happening. It was all done under the cloak of secrecy behind closed doors, but the Daily Mail would cover his testimony, and basically it would break down the apparent affairs that he admitted to during the investigation and testimony. So this only just came out a couple of days ago. It says Bill Gates admits to affairs with a Harvard-trained doctor and Russian nuclear scientist in shocking Epstein grilling. Let's just buckle up, all right? Because this is about to get crazy. Hang on, can I get this big? Bill Gates has lifted the lid on some of his affairs during his appearance before Congress, where two of the women he cheated on his wife with were named for the first time. The Microsoft founder and I'm not going to lie to you, bro. The word micro and soft together in this context. The Microsoft founder, all right? They're talking about the company, not him. The Microsoft founder admitted that he had a relationship with Alice Jacobs Nesselrott, a medical entrepreneur with a doctorate from Harvard Medical School. We got pics of the ladies in here? Please tell me we got pics of the ladies in here. Nah, have I got to look her up? Have I got to look her up and see if there's a picture of her? Not trying to objectify these women, but I do just want to see. I just want to see what sort of chicks the old Slick Willy number 2 is going for. All right, is there an image of her? So I'm not gonna lie. Really, she looks like his ex-wife. She looks like his ex-wife, like. Maybe like a few, like not really that much younger. I mean, really, like, come on, like, if you're gonna freak off and have affairs and be rolling on Epstein's island, this damn near a dead ringer. She could play her in the film about this. Are these not the? They're just okay. Medical entrepreneur with a doctorate from Harvard Medical School. He also confirmed he had a relationship with Karima Nigmatulina, a Russian nuclear scientist. Now, why do I feel like with that name we're going to be seeing at least? I mean, she like the Russian equivalent of Melinda Gates. I mean, really. And like, was there any point even having these affairs? It's like, I'm not seeing too. I mean, she younger. I guess that's what the whole Epstein thing was all about. But like, bro, I should have just stuck it out with Melinda at this point. I mean, really, like, what are we doing here? Is this even? Am I? Fair enough. All right. So during an excruciating hearing earlier this month, the transcript of which was just released, Gates was asked deeply personal questions, such as if he'd ever have a sexually transmitted disease. According to Gates, his ex-wife Melinda stayed with him, despite admitting twice he had affairs with multiple women on the first confession, being sometime on 2010. With the first confession of his multiple affairs with women being sometime before 2010. The hearing before the House Oversight Committee was to find out about Gates' relationship with Epstein, which is seen as one of the key reasons that Melinda divorced him in 2021 after 27 years of marriage. Gates, 70, remained friends with Epstein for years, even though the late PDF was a registered S offender at the time. That part doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. You knew. You could have Googled it. You could have binged it. Micro and soft. You could have binged it. At least could have binged it. Hang on a sec. Dude owns Bing and he couldn't look up if Jeffrey Epstein was an S offender. It's mental, right? So after Epstein's self-deletion, Gates repeatedly apologized for their friendship and told Congress during the June 10th appearance he wished they never met. Yeah, you do now. Now we know. Were you saying that when you was getting down with these chicks that look exactly like your wife? Don't think so. Right? Absolute chaos. All of them looking chuffed. What did they do before this picture was taken? What have they been up to? I wonder. Okay? I wonder. Let's see what he said in this. Let's see. This is him on his way in.
I'm glad to be here voluntarily to testify, to help with the committee's work. I'll start with an opening statement in the hearing room. I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims. Thank you.
Voluntarily, you wouldn't be there if there wasn't an absolute shitstorm around your public image, and that's a fact. So during the interview, Bill Gates admitted to having 3 extramarital affairs, the first of which was with Dr. Jacobs. Gates said he couldn't remember when he told Melinda about that relationship, but it was before 2013 when he told her about the affair with Nigmatilina and Mila Antonova, a Russian bridge player. So let's look her up. Let's just see if she fits the description. Or did we already look at her? We might have already looked at her. Did we look at? Was it this one? Was it this one? I don't know if that's the girl, to be honest with you. Inside Bill Gates' affair with Russia. I'm not going to lie. This looks like Melinda Gates, like as a freshman. That's all I'm going to say. So in a bizarre comment, Bill Gates told the committee that he still thought that Antonova, who was 30 years his junior, was a serious bridge player. Gates told the committee that when he told Melinda about the 2 affairs in 2013, it was very distressing to her, but they didn't talk about getting divorced at that point. According to Gates, he first met Nigmatilina through her work on disease modeling and nuclear fission work. He needed to do some disease modeling after he was done partying with Jeff. At the time, she was working for a company called TerraPower, which Gates said he was a substantial investor in. He definitely put something in. Gates confirmed that one of the times that he had sex with Nigmatilina was in London, and it was referenced in the 3 million emails from Epstein that were released by the Justice Department earlier this year. In his testimony, Gates said the relationship with Dr. Jacobs, who currently runs her own medical consulting company, Convergence Group, begun before 2010. Just looking absolutely fried. He needs a reboot. Alarmingly, the committee members told Gates that Dr. Jacobs first made contact with Jeffrey Epstein in October 2009. She became close enough to Epstein to introduce him to Boris Nikolic, who would become close friends with Gates and would prove to be a key connector between the PDF and the Microsoft founder. Gates was asked about one email where Dr. Jacob called Nikolic her best friend. Gates said she thought they were friends in a professional context and he wasn't aware of her knowing Epstein. The committee read out a draft of an email that Epstein appeared to send to himself in 2013 where he talked about Dr. Jacobs. The subject of the email was Bill. He knows how to get people's attention. It appeared to be from the perspective of Nikolic, a former science advisor to the Gates Foundation, Gates Philanthropic Venture. The email said, "You made it clear to me that I am not to refer to Alice Jacobs as that's another topic that must remain between the two of us." You think he's slick? Gates said he didn't know what the email was about. Nikolic has denied Epstein was speaking on his behalf. Everyone deny, and Epstein's dead. And we got this email to look at. It's peculiar, isn't it? So Peter Spector, the committee's deputy director for oversight, pressed Gates about the email. Spector asked, "Do you have any reason to believe that anyone would think there is something about Alice Jacobs that you needed to keep between yourself and Dr. Nikolic?" So Gates said, well, there was a time when I had an affair with Dr. Jacobs, so that may fit that category. According to Gates, Nikolic was a consultant to Dr. Jacobs, so he wouldn't be completely surprised if Nikolic knew about their affair. Gates denied discussing Epstein with any of the three women, but he admitted that the PDF knew about his affairs with the Russians, likely through Nikolic. The affair with Antonova led to speculation that Epstein could have been planning to blackmail Gates after the emails were published by the Wall Street Journal in 2023, which indicated the PDF wanted to be paid back for some expenses he had paid for her. Failure to return that money could mean Epstein might expose the relationship, the emails reportedly showed. According to Gates, in 2014, after he cut off contact with Epstein, Epstein sought reimbursement for some expenses related to Antonova. You are a billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. After all, at least pay your mistress bill. Gates told one of his top advisors they were never going to pay anything. I'm not going to lie, when you're the richest man in the world and you've allowed yourself to fall into a diabolical honeypot, you might as well just pay the toll at this point, all right? Gates said, I was not blackmailed, but as you look at these emails, it looks like Mr. Epstein's brainstorming was going in that direction. Really? Really? Okay. During one of the more embarrassing parts of the hearing, Gates was asked if he ever had a sexually transmitted disease, but he denied it. The committee also read out another section of the email that Epstein sent to himself. Epstein, apparently writing from Nikolic's point of view, claimed that Gates implored me, please delete the emails regarding your STD and your request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give Melinda and the description of your penis. Perhaps, all right? Microsoft 98. Back then, 98 was the fresh new operating system, you know what I'm saying? Bruv. Microsoft 16 is what he was looking for. But anyway, Gates was asked if he ever sent an email to Nikolic about this subject. He said, I never had an STD. I never described my penis to Dr. Nikolic. I've said I may have indicated some concern about whether I had an STD. I don't recall that. But I never had an STD. I never gave medicines to anyone covertly. That to me just says it all, doesn't it? I've never had... Is this true? I've never had an STD. I've never described my penis to him. You've never described it. But has he seen it in a video? Didn't answer that, did you? Never had an STD. I may have... I may have indicated some concern about whether I had an STD. I don't recall that. I never had an STD, but I may have indicated some concern about whether I may have indicated concern that I thought I might. Look, I'll keep it real with you guys, right? If you go to the bathroom, you pee, and you feel in that hellfire burn, like where Jeffrey Epstein lives now, right? You might not have had your test yet, but you worried about the test. You're already thinking about the medicine, all right? I'll keep it real. I've never had one, but I have been scared. I have been worried. I have considered. You're thinking, I'm gonna just take the medicine and just hope. I'm just take the medicine. I don't even want to know. I'm just gonna take the medicine. So really, he's kind of in around it. He's saying, well, it's not exactly what he said. He said, I've said I may have indicated some concern about whether I had an STD or not. Brother, you partied with Jeff. And you was burning up and you thought, maybe it was just a rash. Maybe you went too hard. It happens. Sometimes you go too hard too long. It burns, it stings. You got a little rug burn. You might think it's something more serious. And thank God it's not. Microsoft. Crazy. Okay. So I'm just going to show you, to wrap this up, some of the reaction over on Reddit. Okay. Because I love to see what Reddit's got to say. This is in the r/Epstein subreddit. Bill Gates admits to having affairs with Harvard-trained doctor and Russian nuclear scientist in shocking Epstein grilling. Look at his face. Diabolical. Well, he's dead, Bill Gates, on Epstein. All right? It's crazy, all right? Unless this is somehow important to the investigation, I don't really care who he was with, unless it has a direct impact on putting people in jail. What is clear, though, is that these people will deny everything until the very end. They need to be pushed to extremes like these hearings to lift the lid. This leak was probably just damage control to show he was meeting mature women, giving him nothing more than an unfaithful husband label in the eyes of the world. In my opinion, given all the facts and meetings he knows he was a part of, it's crystal clear he associated with that group and is not innocent at all. His fame and billionaire status should be stripped away immediately. Exactly, it's giving he fucked educated, wealthy women, not he R-worded children. Fixed it, all right? Gross. Not really the primary focus of the proceedings at all, but what a dipshit. You thought a Russian nuclear scientist was not a honeypot of some sort? These fucking people, I swear. When you are powerful people, the border between states blurs. You're no longer just an American or a Russian. You've upgraded to something else. Epstein class, that's what you call them, all right? That's what you call them, Epstein class. Oh man, that Alice lady kind of looks like his ex-wife Melinda. See what I'm saying, bro? It wasn't even worth it, all right? It wasn't even worth it. Maybe you should have just sent Melinda for some bridge lessons. Right? Could have saved yourself a few $1 billion. Is that my screen? Alarmingly, the committee members told Gates that Dr. Jacobs first made contact with Epstein. Oh, I already read you this. So, was Dr. Jacobs a plant by Epstein to be able to blackmail Gates, or is Dr. Jacobs even the instigator? So, he's a national security risk. Turns out he's a huge piece of shit, and he's still not the worst asshole on the list. He's also saved a few million people from death and disease, so it's kind of hard to know how much a couple of affairs should weigh on the great moral scales. Fair take, but what he's not doing is exposing the crimes he knows of, which is potentially causing thousands of children to continue be exploiting. To be fair, I think he had some affairs during his Microsoft years too. It's actually known even while they were dating, he would cheat on Melinda a lot, and it made her really sad. I'll just leave this here. Staff member who worked on Bill Gates' estate arrested for collecting illegal videos. Melinda divorced him soon after. You should be able to collect the dots yourself. Holy. Am I going to get sued for even looking at this? Bill Gates estate staff member traded illegal videos by Gmail. Seattle man apprehended at the Microsoft founder's home, accused of collecting 6,000 illegal videos. Huh. This is where the police first contacted Rick Jones about the allegations. He was an engineer at the property charged with those bad illegal offenses. I don't even want to. He drew investigators' attention in late 2013 after sharing a suspicious photo through Google's email service. According to charging papers, it captured the exploitation of two youngins. They tracked the image to his apartment. They searched it on March the 20th. Seattle Police Department detective said in court papers he wasn't there. Investigators learned he was likely working at Gates's home. Two detectives drove to the sprawling lakefront estate and met Jones in the estate security office, according to charging papers. Then they interviewed him in a parked SUV. They read him his rights, and he claimed that he shared bad illegal videos online just once. Then he admitted he's been collecting them for years. He said he'd been collecting them for about 10 years and has had interest in young'uns since he was young. Okay, I don't want to get into that. That is actually disgusting. I'm going to have to blur that out. That is disgusting. Okay, I don't want to get sued, just for the record, all right? I mean, this is a real article, right? This looks like a real article. Is it Seattle Pie? Seattle PI? Is that a real website? I mean, it looks like a real website. I'm quite disturbed by that. I didn't know that last part. What the hell? Wow. Okay, so look, Bill Gates, just disgusting, embarrassing, hung out with Epstein, apologized even though he didn't do anything. It's just ridiculous at this point, okay? So look, we can just consign him to the scrap heap of history, just like Windows, all right? I do have a Windows computer right now, unfortunately, but, I got Macs. We need to be Mac gang, all right? It's just... I didn't see Tim Cook in the files. This is crazy. I actually need to just go and do some research on that because that's actually screwed up, and I might need to wipe the search history after this one because that's actually disturbing. Anyway, that's the breakdown. Bill Gates He's in trouble. Hopefully one day we see him in cuffs if there's any justice in this world. Anyway, see you guys in the next video. I'm out. That was disturbing. Peace.